Welcome to Conversations That Count, a podcast hosted by MAS in celebration of International Women's Day this year. In this episode, we're going to explore the intersection of diversity, business, and supportive workplace practices. In the spotlight today are two pioneering companies, MAS and Brandix, known for their innovative approaches to enhancing workplace well-being. I have Thanuja Jayawardene from MAS and Dinusha Jayamanne from Brandix. All right, let's dive right into the conversation. So Dinusha, tell me, what does Brandix do to help women move up from the factory floor to positions of leadership?
We've had lots of strong women leaders within the company, and the company has also put in place a lot of mechanisms, lot of systems to help women develop and grow. More recently, we kind of collected all these practices under one umbrella. We call it Rise Together, and it's all about inclusion, diversity, and equity to accelerate. So we call it IDEA, just coined the word IDEA under it. So with all of this, we do different things, especially starting, as you said, in the factory floor to support our women, to empower them through various development programs, some done internally, some we also partner with our customers. We actually treat our factory floor employees, we think that they are Formula One drivers, and all of us are really the pit stop crew who really help them to win the race, and they're really important to us, and the fact that they thrive. So as they develop in their careers, we have customized leadership programs in place to support women at all levels. We train cohorts of mentors within, and these mentors, men and women, go and develop or rather mentor people who are rising up in their careers. We also want to create an internal coaching culture, and we have certified coaches through the International Coaching Federation.
It's very interesting, Dinusha, and especially the conversation of, finding people from within.
Yes.
To, mentor your own teams. I think that's really interesting. Thanuja, tell me, what special programs is MAS pioneering to help development and growth of women in the workplace?
So a lot of the work we do in terms of career development, very similar, because of course, as organizations in this industry with thousands and thousands of women coming into our factories, it really is something we need to do to look at how we take someone from a machine operator up to executive management and senior leadership. Something we realized over the last maybe about 6 years is that if we really want to bring women into your production manager and above levels, have women in those senior leadership roles, we have to look at specific career progression, identify specific challenges, because a lot of what we'd been doing was really propelling them up through the ranks to a point. So now what we're doing is a diploma program, degree program, which is offered so that we bridge some of those gaps. And everything from communication to leadership styles to all these things that we sometimes think are lacking are things that can be addressed.
No matter, what policies or strategies and infrastructure is in place, if some of these biases are unaddressed, or if we, don't sort of unlearn some of these biases within our own teams, upward mobility really is a tough thing to do. So how is MAS tackling that?
We have a lot of work we do on unconscious bias reduction, diversity, accessibility, respect training, to look at how leadership and middle management can really unlearn some of the ways in which we have looked at even job roles. So we've launched specific programming with roadmaps on looking at everything from percentage of women in technical training programs. What percentage is coming in from factory floor into executive and management? So tracking and monitoring that, setting the environment right, setting the skills and giving the infrastructure, but also really encouraging people and pushing a little bit to break some of our own biases.
You cannot really create supportive workplaces without addressing issues like gender-based violence. What is Brandix doing in this regard?
Something that we are doing is to ensure that we have the right level of inclusive climate within the organization. And it all stems from our values. We call them RITE values, RITE, and the R is about respect. So it's very, very important that we create that respectful workplace within, ensuring that very strong policies are integrated into the company and the way in which we work through different forums or platforms that one can go to, and also continuously provide the right level of education and awareness to people that matter within and even outside the organization who lies with our people. So it's a zero tolerance policy where it goes, nothing goes unheard or not addressed. So as you said, within the country with a lot of things happening from an economic perspective, financial pressures, all of that, doing that we have to ensure even as a national cause, we support our people to be able to speak up whenever there is an issue.
The apparel industry is heavily women intensive, and sometimes just having policies like zero tolerance against harassment isn't just enough to get to the root causes of some of these problems. A good grievance redressal mechanism is very important. Tell me a little bit about that at MAS.
Yes, so we have a really strong framework which we call the MAS DNA. We brought all of the policies we had over the last about 20 years onto one platform. And anti-harassment and non-discrimination were two policies which we really felt strongly about. And people come from very different backgrounds, different mindsets. It is our responsibility as employers to set a tone and a behavioral expectation. Incidents of sexual harassment, abuse, physical harassment is extreme violence. For us, even the off-color comment, the gross joke, the sexist kind of slur is not acceptable. So we have an online platform which is managed by a global company. You can be anonymous or you can give your name if you want to. We have hotlines that are managed in different countries by external parties, so that people maybe have a little more of that comfort that you're not talking to your HR person. And then we have code officers who are non-HR. So various multiple avenues to create that comfort level, because this is not easy stuff to talk about, right? Now people have become more comfortable to speak up about, like I said, the gross comment, the inappropriate song. And we are honestly seeing the increase of that kind of speak up to be positive, because people obviously feel like they can speak up and they will be heard. Something that we're really struggling with in this space is the ability to always follow the process and take action, because as you would expect, people don't always want to follow through with an investigation. People don't always want to come forward and follow through with even a complaint. There's a lot of stigma, there's a lot of shame, and also a certain sense of this is inconvenient. But the one really positive thing I want to say is that we have been able to take action. And we constantly tell people, don't feel like it's a waste of time. We will somehow figure something out to make sure you're comfortable and safe.
A very positive thing, like you said, to know that people are starting to call out on things that make them uncomfortable. Because having someone at the ground level that you can talk to is very important, because that's how you feel heard. Tell me a little bit about the counseling services that Brandix offers.
So we have the counselors in the different locations who are certified psychologists. So they would be based throughout either a shift or throughout the day, so that anybody who has any sort of a grievance can go to them. So the leaders of the plants are supportive in terms of providing that time for people to go. In fact, in some of our smart factories, there are also smart mechanisms through technology to contact the counselor to really indicate your mood for the day. And if your mood is not very happy for the day, the counselor would also get alerted and can come to the person. And they also report back to the counseling head of the group in terms of of a qualitative report that they produce every month. So that clinical supervision can also be given from a technical perspective. What is really important in this space would be how can we really think progressive? How can we really equip people to understand or spot a particular anxiety or stress that is being caused to you or to a person next to you, and then to alert it at the right time. At the end of the day, what we want is that psychological safety.
And be able to thrive at work.
Exactly.
Before this conversation, we were talking about the networks at Brandix that allow women to sort of help each other. Let's dive a little bit into that and unpack what those networks look like.
Within Brandix, we also have created platforms for our women to really connect. We call it Rise Up. So we meet quarterly to discuss a particular topic, and people are really free to share their views. There's also an expert who comes in and shares, because I feel that it's not just gender equity based stuff that one has to do within an organization, but the organization also has to equip people in it to work with each other. How do you really collaborate? How do you really work through change? And even to the point that we were discussing earlier, how can one really provide feedback? And that's where when you spot something, we provide positive or even constructive feedback so that you still do it for the development of women. So that's something that I have observed.
That's super interesting because we also have set up women's networks, and for us, what we've done is we have different networks at every one of the companies, and then 4 times a year we bring them together. And for us, that big piece of how do you become more comfortable with the networking, making connections with people, because women, something we realize is, are also socialized differently. Yeah. And obviously with the kind of double burden that women carry most of the time, you come to work, you have to get it done, and then you have to be out of there, right? So you don't always have that opportunity to also kind of make friends, keep your connections going, have the, casual coffee or the drink afterwards. So what we're really trying to promote is, yes, we have women's networks where women are meeting each other and forming those supportive bonds, but we're also encouraging women to, with all their colleagues, make those connections. And also, like you said, we use those networks to get feedback for the organization also. They also provide us feedback on, look, you need to do better on this. We are having this challenge. We see a unique challenge based on our life experience as a mum or as a woman just coming into your workplace. So we use them as a feedback loop for the organization to also roll out certain policies, figure out how we can do something better and make the organization more friendly for women, men, and for anyone.
Absolutely. I can just add to that. So just through the networks, we also created these ERGs, like employee resource groups, where women, based on a particular passion that they have, there would be organically created groups who would just pursue some interest. So that was a really cool thing, because it was not really prescribed nor really policed by anyone, but it's just through some common passions.
MAS has been on a journey of helping and empowering women to be entrepreneurs themselves. This is something that a lot of Sri Lankan corporates are usually intimidated by. But do you see the success in propelling women of your workforce to become entrepreneurs themselves?
Over the years, we've, along with the career development work, we also do a lot of what we call skill development. And what we've learned is, with a lot of the training we give, women, especially on the factory floor, because they work on a shift, just take it and have started their own businesses. Some of them are running 3-4 businesses on their own. And because they work with us, once the business takes off, they're getting their husbands to work for them, their in-laws to work for them, they're providing employment to women in the community. So we do everything from giving them business planning, training, how to manage your finances, how to keep the accounts, how to do social media marketing. So now so many of them have Facebook pages and they're selling their goods online. For us, the point is, if they become successful enough to leave us, that's okay. The economy ultimately benefits, and it's a cycle. And when they're in the factory and they're doing this, they are more innovative, they're more driven and creative. So it works for everyone. Maybe they'll join another company, maybe they'll, quit and do their own business. That is an area where I feel corporates can really support women, so long as there's no conflict of interest, because it really is empowering. And that financial inclusion piece goes beyond having the job, because now you can choose what you want to do in your free time, how you want to use your money, and you are making money. So that becomes super important.
Before we conclude, is there anything, Thanuja, that you'd like to ask Dinusha?
I have lots of questions, because I think that a lot of the work we're doing really, is similar, and a lot to learn from each other. For all of us, learning a little more and learning that we're all on the journey, struggling, failing really helps, so you don't get demotivated. But if I were to ask you one question, it is that thing about how do we do better in that space of getting more women from factory floor to leadership. Both of our companies are doing that, and we have good examples, but maybe struggling still, right? Yeah. Anything you think is working or helps?
I think what would really help, or what we should continue to do, is to have the leadership sponsorship at every level. Because sometimes you have people who really have a lot of potential but are really scared to come out due to different insecurities. It could be various other reasons. And if there is a leader who's there for you, constantly supportive, one would really be able to, unleash what's really within and really come out and develop themselves. And I love what you said, the fact that it's a journey. We will, I think, slip, we'll fall, we'll learn our lessons. But if we can also get into a really collaborative way on how we work, even within Sri Lanka, across organizations, it's taking steps towards the right direction for the country and towards a cause or a purpose. When that happens, things become stronger and they become more sustainable. I also have a question for Thanuja. I think since we work in similar spaces, what are some of the things that you would think we need to think for the future?
Infrastructure, policy, mindset change, to make sure that us as an industry understands how to really develop people, to really crack that code on how do you get the woman who comes in as a machine operator to have true progression. And I think that needs to be how it works for the industry.
That sort of brings us to the conclusion of this chat. And I have to say, I'm very inspired by the work that you do. It's been a learning journey for me also, just listening to what you guys are doing and what both companies have taken the responsibility of. Because like you said, you do provide employment for quite a percentage of the population of the country, and that comes with that responsibility. So it's very inspiring to see the work you do. And thank you for joining me in this conversation.